because one of us was in a very crucial scene
Oh my God.
in Deli Boys. Stole the show from me personally.
Honestly.
And so we have to talk about it. So how was your experience shooting it and being a part of it? And yeah.
No, it was really cool. It was like, okay, for a really long time we'd been hearing about this show. Like, I feel like if you're Desi or Muslim in the entertainment industry, like Deli Boys had been on the radar for so long.
Yeah. Hey guys, welcome back to the Doube-E Podcast. We're happy to have you guys back. We got so much great feedback on the last show, and we're excited to keep doing it. I'm Ramiz. I'm the host. I don't know. I don't feel like a host. I feel like all three of us talk.
It's your apartment. So
It's my apartment.
I think that's fair.
This is Elise.
What's up?
This is Nabil.
Hi.
And we're looking forward to it. Some people were saying we should talk about why we call it the Doube-E Podcast, but I'll leave it to you guys and like the below where it says our names to figure it out. I trust that you guys are smart enough. This is I realized that we did a couple of episodes, but we haven't introduced ourselves properly. So I just want to take this chance to for us to introduce ourselves and tell us what we're about. So I guess I was thinking about a couple of things to ask. I mean, like, just how'd you get to Doube-E? And what do you plan on doing in with this podcast and life and everything? That's not a real question.
That's a big question. What the heck?
What's the meaning of life to you? Nabil, you start.
Oh wow. Okay. So let me kind of break this down, I guess, based on what you said. I think it's all of us were just, I feel like all of us really wanted to be in some kind of a creative space at some point and stuff, and we always kind of like try to test things out and see how things would go. But this is something that we all were kind of like, okay, you know what? It's something like we can kind of be consistent with, something that we can kind of grow at our own pace, which is kind of cool. And I think my biggest thing for starting this is just, I don't know. I just like to talk. I'm a very talkative person. I feel like I'm always like, looking at stuff and just like everybody else, I have opinions on things, and that's my thing about like just starting a show in general. Aside from that, I feel like all of us are all involved in like media, so it's something that we all were like, okay, well, there's an opportunity here. Let's go and give it a shot, and it could be something great, or it could be something that 5 years from now, people will be like, hey, remember that podcast you had nobody listened to? But, at least we're out here doing it, so alhamdulillah. That's my whole thing about like starting the show. But a little bit about us, like, so me and Miz are, if you can't tell, we're brothers.
It's not easy to tell.
It's not.
Yeah. It's not. Most people don't know that.
Honestly, yeah. I feel like it's gotten crazier, like, since we've gotten older, because we have such like different personalities, I feel like. But we grew up in Southern California. We've been here our whole lives, and we see all kinds of people and stuff. And I feel like Hollywood and like all this stuff it's such a big industry out here. So we're like, okay, you know what? Why don't we just like take a stab at it? Let's see what's up. But yeah, that's pretty much why I'm on it.
Yeah. I guess just to kind of add to that, I think all of us were also just trying to make it in entertainment. I think we all kind of have that goal. We've been at it for a bit, and we've been doing things, and it's been fun, and it's just nice to be creative. I think this was like one of those things that came along with our wonderful like this is kind of Ali's baby, Ali Aslam over there.
Yeah.
True.
He's behind the camera,
and he just had all this equipment. We lived together, and he had all this equipment. He's like, well, do you guys want to just like, I could set up a camera and just do it. And then we're like, we talk to each other normally. I guess like this is like, that's why I feel like there's an ease to this.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel hard.
Yeah.
Like I like not like none of us are nervous. And he was like, next time you guys talk and we hang out, we'll just record you. And
honestly, that's literally what it was.
And that's kind of what it is. So when you see us like tired, we're tired. we didn't when we don't have anything to think of, we don't have anything to think of, and it's just like that's life.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I didn't. I'm sorry. I'm speaking a little bit of French. But But yeah, that's kind of what it is. I think all of us have like a creative bug that we wanted to kind of bring out, and this is a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll talk about myself.
Both of us are like, what now, Lisa? Say something.
Yeah, no, I moved out to LA almost 4 years ago, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, I came out for film school and I want to work in film, and I feel like this was just a cool way to like find people that I feel like we're all like media adjacent. But I think it's really cool because we're not like in the same roles. Like we all are doing something a little bit different. We're all Desi. And so we talk so much about like kind of what the challenges come with being in this world as like Desi people, like being in the diaspora, like navigating LA, navigating friendship, like all these things. So I feel like it was like just kind of a easy idea that we were like, okay, we're all here. We all want to do this. So why not?
Yeah. Those are some of the themes that we all talk about, the same things over and over. It's like being brown, being in entertainment, looking for jobs. And I think the biggest thing though that like divides us though is like the culture. And we're kind of like three different people.
I
mean, like in our just in how we process things, me and Elise are from the 90s and the Bill's a little older.
Hey,
so we're a certain voice, and then he's another voice. So that's what it is. No, but in all seriousness, I think we all kind of we all like bring something different culturally. Like we were just like talking about like our TikTok feeds before and how different they look, and there's overlap for sure, but it's different. We're just into different things, and a lot of that is just a generational divide. Gen Z, and we're both millennial, and it just kind of, and we're like different millennials too. Like not age wise, but like just personality wise.
Honestly,
so I think that's like one of the fun things that we just have a fun time talking about, and that's kind of going to be one of the recurring themes of our podcast.
No, I really like this medium too, only because we can really be like true to ourselves. It's like we can kind of, it can be what it is. You know what I mean? We can just kind of like, hopefully feel really comfortable in front of you guys, and we can let you into our worlds a little bit. So, whatever we put out there, it's us being very vulnerable. So, just be kind in the comments.
Exactly.
Or be mean.
Whatever. Just watch our show.
Yeah.
To be
just
honest.
Comment.
Yeah.
Just comment.
Interact. Engage with our content.
Exactly. We're just happy to have you.
Yeah.
So it is Ramadan this month. How's it been going for you guys?
It's going well.
Good.
Yeah. This is a weird Ramadan though. It's very slow and very cold. And just not as social. I call it like a cozy Ramadan.
This is not as social?
Yeah.
Bro. This has been so social.
I don't know. I feel like we're seeing the same like 10 people.
I think that's
15 to 20 people every day.
That's probably more accurate.
I am so sick of
Yeah, it is the same. Well, wonderful. You're not going to want to see this podcast. It's not for you. I think what it is these cafes and chai spots and these Yemeni chai spots that also are all over TikTok are just, they're like, you just go to them and everyone is there. And that's why I think it feels a lot more social than it is. And one just opened right here in Hollywood. So shout out to them.
Otherwise, you would not be going.
Yeah, that's
Let's be honest. You would not
true.
be driving down to like
that's very true. That's very true.
That's something I would do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's something that I have done. But it's like, it's something that I feel like, there's more businesses that are open late. And I feel like also there's so many different like masjids around now too. So it's social, but in a different way. Whereas before it was more like, okay, hey, everybody just get together. And usually it was more like, oh, like if they're at the beach or, like have like one of these like rooftop iftars and things like that. But this time around, there's like more, at least in our experience, I feel like you said, there's just our group has gotten smaller, but we're all like seeing each other over and over and over again. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, it's just Suhoor Fest was like crazy. And the one I know about, like I feel like every city has one, but the one in LA, they had one and then the second one got canceled. So apparently there was like some crazy stuff happening there.
There's always controversy around this thing, which is like super halal if you think about it.
Yeah.
But there's always some kind of like thing of just being like trying to cancel it or whatever. I'm like, this is just like, to me, it just blows my mind. I'm like, our community is just sometimes they're so nitpicky on stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? For what? It's crazy. Why was it canceled this time? Do you know?
So I mean, it was crowded. Number one, there was like a lot of people there. And I guess maybe
I know intermingling was a thing in the past.
That's always a thing.
There's no way that's why they canceled it.
Yeah.
They already knew.
So one thing that a lot of people were saying was apparently like there was like a situation with like there weren't enough like bathrooms. And especially like after iftar, you're going to get Yemeni coffee. Like, what do you think's gonna happen? But like that was an issue. The weather, it was kind of like rainy and stuff. So I mean, there's a lot of like factors, and also like last year was big, but I think this year was also because of last year it was bigger. So more people were like, oh well, last year was pretty decent. Maybe I'll go this year. People go to these things like it's literally just to hang out, which is fine. I think it's really important to build community, and it's just it is what you make of it. Whatever intentions you have when you go in, that's what you're gonna like get out of it.
Yeah.
So as long as you keep that in mind, let people do their own thing. It's like it's either that or like just not engage with the Muslim community at all.
Yeah.
I just don't know what the difference between Sahur Fest and like any other Ramadan night
market is. Literally. Yeah.
And like at the masjid, they'll have the parking lot markets and everyone comes out after like Tarawih or whatever and they're walking around and there's like, the girls are there, the guys are there and like, I don't think it's that deep, but I feel like people just like to hate and it's like controversial for some reason.
Yeah.
But
also, like I feel like when we were younger, we never heard of the word like free mixing. It's something that it's definitely like a newer term that people have been using a lot more. So we grew up next to the Garden Grove Masjid. If you're from Southern California, that's like one of the first orange like masjids in Orange County in Southern California that was like as big as it was. And we used to walk there every day, and it used to be divided, but I think once we kind of started doing more like youth group stuff and we started getting more like imams and stuff coming from like different masjids and we got a bigger facility, they kind of made us that, okay, well, the men can sit on one side of the room and the women can sit on the other side of the room. And then what would happen is more women would tend to join, so they had to make the women's side a little bigger. You know what I mean? And it's just like as it kept going, they're like, okay, well, as long as everybody follows the rules, it's all good. But I think in recent years, people are just kind of like you said, just like nitpicking, and they're just like, okay, well, this person's out here, they're like dressed like a certain way, or they're talking to a certain person. It's like, dude,
it always had that vibe. Like we used to play basketball there, and like if you like wore shorts, you would get like scolded, and it'd just be like you'd get scolded in a big way. Where it's just like it doesn't call for, like we were playing sports outside. I like. Yeah, it's you can only do wrong in certain masjids.
Yeah, that's so true.
And Garden Grove is one of them.
So is King Fahad.
Yeah.
Not as name dropping, like government name dropping.
Yeah.
Hey, part of our podcast is that we're real and we're from LA. All right, these are the things that we deal with all the time. Okay. Yeah, if you know, you know. It's only a matter of time before we mention Nubia.
Yeah.
Right.
Shout out. Oh my God.
No, but yeah, King Fahad is another one of those masjids where when we first moved to LA, I feel like it was a more like balanced masjid. But over the years, especially like during the pandemic, after the pandemic, it got kind of like more like it's not even that it got strict. It just got more like there's more rules now, and people are just like, oh, like people are kind of watching everybody else a lot more. It's just the vibe definitely like is not the same.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I just feel like the Muslim culture is growing, and I feel like a lot more young people come to King Fahad. Like a lot of people our age, like it's just kind of become a hangout spot and everything like that, which is really cool. But yeah, it's a good place to be. So it's good that we're all having like good Ramadan and everything. So the topic that we wanted to choose today in the spirit of Ramadan is Muslim representation in TV. I feel like this this year has just been like there's been so much of it. That you had Mo, you had Muslim Matchmaking, you had Deli Boys, just three like three things that bigger companies made, ABC and Hulu, and that were targeted to us, and it feels like a real special moment. And it's exciting. I feel like you always see trickles of it, but to just kind of see it in such a big way is really exciting. So we just kind of want to talk about watching it, what it means, and just going through it. We have to start with Deli Boys. We have to start with Deli Boys because one of us was in a very crucial scene in Deli Boys. Stole the show from me personally,
honestly.
And so we have to talk about it. So how was your experience shooting it and being a part of it? And yeah.
No, it was really cool. It was like, okay, for a really long time we'd been hearing about this show. Like, I feel like if you're Desi or Muslim in the entertainment industry, like Deli Boys had been on the radar for so long.
Yeah.
Like, and then the strike happened, and then like, I don't know, they just kept getting delayed. So it was something on my radar for a very long time. And so I like applied to be an extra pretty early, and I kept getting emails from them, but I kept kind of just ignoring them because I was like, it's in Chicago. I don't know if I can do this. Like, you know, it just doesn't seem realistic. And then I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was like, Elisa, guess what? Like, I got a featured extra role on Deli Boys. Like, and she was like really excited. And she's like, you should do it with me. And I was like, okay, let me see. And then I ended up having an email for like that same day.
Wow.
So then I was like, okay, like, let's do it. And I was like, I've always wanted to spend more time during Ramadan in Chicago. Also, they filmed last Ramadan. So also during Ramadan, like exactly a year ago, which is kind of just wild. But yeah, I flew out, stayed there for about a week, but we were on set for 2 days. 2 very, very long days. Like,
as it goes.
Yeah, the call time, I think day one was like, I want to say 7 a.m. or something.
In Ramadan? Oh.
Yes. And we went till 10 p.m. or so.
Wow.
And then...
That makes sense.
Yeah. And I think like some people stayed till midnight. We thankfully got to leave.
Some of the extras?
Some, yeah. They actually, I think they gave us a choice, and we were like, no, we're tired.
Yeah.
We're gonna go.
Wow.
It was March in Chicago, so it was very cold, and we had to, it was a wedding scene, so we had to show up in like full like glam and like all of that. So it was like really weird, like getting ready in the cold, like at like 6 a.m., like putting on like makeup. Like, it was really weird. But yeah, and then the second day was similar. It wasn't as long. Second day was much shorter.
Was it also the wedding scene?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was 2 days of the same clothes, same everything. They made us like, they took a bunch of pictures, like made us all like, they had to look at all our outfits like very closely. They told us like no phones and no Apple Watches, but I snuck mine in. I like had like a clutch purse that like, looked like a purse someone would take to a wedding. So I put my phone in there and I had my watch under. I had like long sleeves. I was like very prepared because I've been an extra before. So I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to wear like sneakers. And I had like a long dress, so my sneakers were hidden. Some people didn't know this. Like they didn't know.
Did they call you out for that stuff?
No, because you couldn't see.
Oh, you couldn't see.
When they did the outfit check.
Okay.
They were like, okay, approved. Like next. Also, they did our hair, which was really fun. That was like my favorite part because they had like, it felt like, you felt like a movie star. Like, oh, without any pressure. Like I feel like the actual actors were like stressed, but we were just like, blah, blah, blah. Like, just like hanging out. But yeah, no, it was really cool. It was like the biggest set I think I've ever been on. Like I've done PA stuff on like sets, but this was like really intense. And I remember even like at one point I was feeling kind of sick, so I like talked to one of the PAs, and he's like, "Oh, we have a medic. Like, let me call him over. He'll bring you some like Gatorade." And like just like very much like I never experienced.
I think they have to keep someone on, right? Is that
Probably,
right?
right? But I've been on all these small sets, and a lot of them are like non-union. So I was like, wow, this is luxurious. It's like
I heard that like because they filmed it in Ramadan, they had like these crazy accommodations because like not only was like the cast brown, but like a lot of like the people behind the camera were brown too, and so they really accommodated for it in a crazy way.
Actually, like so many people were people of color there, and that's another thing I haven't really seen where it was like majority POC, and like there were obviously like white people, but it was just like mostly our people, and it was cool. And they took breaks for like iftar, like they let people like pray, like they had food like on the side for them. They're like, if you guys are fasting, like we'll save food for you. So they were like very much keeping that in mind, but.
That's so cool.
Oh, that's great.
It's just interesting that they decided to film at that time. But
well, also, I mean, they're like promoting it right now too. So it's like you see like all the people who are like involved in it are just like all over the place.
Yeah, it's coming out 1 year later during this Ramadan. So it's like very interesting to see that like a Muslim show is during Ramadan.
Yeah.
Kind of fascinating to me, but
yeah. I think this is something that probably was not their choice. As a matter of fact, I'm almost positive it was my choice 100%. From what I've been hearing. It's just
it's a good marketing strategy.
Well, kind of. I mean, kind of. It's like
I would argue that's not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just because of the Muslim element of it, especially like now watching the show.
Yeah.
And you know, it's such a fun show. Like I'm not a big TV show guy, but I was like, this is so. It took me a while to understand what it was. I was like, is this like trying to have like a deep plot? Is it trying to just be like there's writing that just feels like it's just going for the joke. And it took me like 3 episodes. I was like, oh, this is just going for the joke and just trying to be like funny. And after I kind of understood what it was, I was just having a great time. I never finish TV shows. It's like rare. Like I'm just not a TV guy. But I really enjoyed it. It reminded me kind of like a Barry.
yeah.
Actually, yeah.
It's like very much comedically like goofy, but also like tries to like pretends it's serious and then just breaks that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have so many things to say. But I mean, the directing was like surprisingly really, really good. Like Nisha Ganatra like directed the first episode, which she's gonna be a legend, and she's like already there. She directed the new Freaky Friday movie that's gonna come out
cool.
in August,
awesome.
which is great. And and just to see like Sagar Asif just really do a great job. It was just such a fun show. It's nice to kind of see those like brown elements that we talk about being like represented on screen and like on a notable platform like Hulu.
Yeah.
I was like this feels like a moment,
Yeah.
So it's really fun to do that. Yeah, have you seen it?
No.
Okay.
I'm like the only one who hasn't seen it. And it's just because of circumstances. I feel like I know how to watch TV.
Yeah.
I know if I watch one episode, I'm going to watch the entire thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like I have to be in like the right like state of mind to watch it. So I'm like, instead of like watching in bits and pieces, I'm going to try to like watch it on one go.
This is very bingeable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing, so how long are the episodes? Are they like an hour?
20 minutes.
Oh yeah. They could probably
20,
finish in like,
25,
a weekend or something.
Yeah.
Also like the other part of it too is like, it's Ramadan. So
Yeah,
I'm just like
exactly.
kind of like laying low on that stuff for a while. And I think I'm probably going to, if I do watch it, it's probably going to be like on like John Oth or something.
Yeah.
That's
only
fair.
because that's like that's a rule that I have for myself.
Yeah.
But it's something that I've been like dying to watch it. Like the way I've seen like so many like TikToks about it, the thing I've been seeing a lot on how they're promoting it. They have a lot of these like content creators who are saying like, well, if I was in Deli Boys, this is how it would be. And it's like a white guy or it's like an Asian guy, and it's like he's just doing his thing. It's like, wow, it's really, because I feel like they really want to. The way they're kind of marketing it is like, it's not necessarily like, oh, if you're brown, watch the show. It's like, no, this is for everybody. You guys should definitely check it out because of all these like quirky, weird, like funny things that happen in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, yeah, I'm definitely, I got to get on it. I got some homework.
Yeah, that's a good reason though. Shout out to if you're not watching TV during Ramadan. And
Exactly.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's I think one of the hard parts of Deli Boys coming out in
Like,
Ramadan.
right
Is
now.
that there's a lot of
Yeah.
people who don't do that.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the small kind of even the knocks that I had on it. I was like it's so hard to do Muslim specific thing, and like they had like it was like in the first episode it's covered a bit, and then as soon as they drop it, it just becomes much better.
Yeah.
It's just like you kind of don't need to ruffle those feathers. It's our communities, as we said in the beginning, they're a tough crowd to please.
But I also, you can question, like, is that just the characters and how they are? They're just written that way? Like,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
you're telling a story of like a crowd that maybe like mainstream, quote unquote, mainstream Muslims might not know a lot about, but
Yeah.
now you're showing that story. Like people like this exist
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they're showing it.
Yeah.
Right. So I think like you could make that argument of like, that is their reality. Like they didn't know how to pray the namaz, like janaza namaz. Like that's a real experience that I'm sure people have had. Right.
Yeah.
So
That is true. It was a funny thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like a good inside joke.
exactly.
Yeah.
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 And I think that's a good way to do it too, where it's just like these characters just happen to be Muslim. It's not necessarily like, okay, well, they're Muslim. That's like the one thing that they're going to really kind of like drill into all the audience and stuff. So hopefully like that wasn't the case where they were like, okay, you know what? There's like they kind of like referenced the religion and the culture, I'm assuming. And then they kind of were like, okay, well, this is like a part of it, but this is not the plot of the show.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
that's kind of cool.
And that's kind of what it was. It was like, hey, we touched on this. Okay, we're moving on.
Yeah.
So yeah, other than that, they finessed it really well. There were some like really cool nods to just being brown that like were such deep cuts. Like when they made the racist Indian, they made racist Indian jokes.
Yeah.
Which seeing Pakistani make racist Indian jokes is so funny because it's a real thing. By the way, it's
Yeah.
very, very much a real thing. The hate is real. If you don't believe us, watch a cricket match.
Really? Oh my God, that is so true.
Bro, if you
That
don't
is
believe us,
100% true.
like hang out with uncles, okay?
That. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Talk to our Santi.
it's a real thing. It's unfortunately it's a real thing. When they touched on that, I was like dead. I was like cracking up. I was like, they went there, and it was great. And yeah, but I would say the real win for that show is the publicity.
Yeah.
I've just been seeing like just to see like them doing like the circuits, and like there's the main media things. Like I saw them on like the morning shows and ABC shows and all that stuff. But just to see them on like influencers radars and just to see them do like like these famous TikTokers who like they just like pop in their TikTok. I'm like, that's so cool.
That's
Yeah.
really nice.
That's where our culture
wild.
lives.
Yeah.
Like that's where we
Yeah.
live on TikTok. You know, so
Yeah.
and you know, just to see their content and you know, like we all know Sagar's kind of like a little bit of a, you know, he's been around us for a bit. He's such a good guy, and he's you know, just to see him getting the opportunity. Him Asif I know a little less, but just to see like Sagar just like being his charismatic self on like these TikTok, I'm like he's shining right there.
Yeah.
And shout out to him, man. He put in a lot of work.
Yeah, it's awesome to see our people like thriving. Like it's really, really cool.
I think the real moments that I have is when I'm like driving down like Sunset or something, and I'll see like a big billboard. I'm like, oh yeah, that's our people. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's like because we're so used to seeing like movie posters or like you know like brand ads and things like that. And it's like, dude, like wait, they have like a whole like thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like those really big ones, or like when you have those posters on like the side. It's like a closed off building, but they have like the wood panels.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they have like posters on there. I'm like, oh yeah, like
giant.
Those are so. I saw those too.
Yeah.
Those are so cool.
Like,
Yeah.
this is
Those are so
great. You
cool.
know, it's like
Yeah.
I hope they're all just like living it up. Like everyone who
Yeah.
worked on that show, just like thriving in it. Like,
Yeah.
they
No,
deserve
absolutely.
that because it's
Yeah.
been so long, and like
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
seeing how well it's doing, it feels very satisfying. And like finally, we're winning.
Yeah.
Basic
Alhamdulillah.
communities,
Yeah.
Exactly.
we're doing something
Yeah.
like really well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just that it just goes to show you how hard it is to make it in the industry.
100%.
And just like the auditions, like you have to like do so many different things. And then when it's your turn, when it rains, it pours. And when it's your turn, then things get going. But like, you know, sometimes I think like in the industry, it's not even about hard work necessarily. Like that's a part of it, but it's about persistence.
Mhm.
And like, how many times are you willing to like take a stab at it?
Mm.
And most people, I mean, it's just not feasible for a lot of people, for most human beings. But to see somebody just like chip away at it, it's really great.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it is.
Yeah. I also was like, part of me was like, oh, maybe we're thinking it's bigger than it is because we live in LA and we're in this like film space. But
Yeah.
then I think something that hit me to see how big it was I was posting stuff on Instagram about like me being an extra, and people were like catching me on the screen. So I was like reposting those stories, and I had like just insane numbers of people reaching out to me.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Really?
people I have not talked to in like 5 years are like,
Dang.
oh my God, is that you? Like, how did you get that? And I'm like,
are you famous now?
like, I'm not even, I'm like blurry in the back. Like, it's not even, you know? But people were like really freaking out about it. I was like, that's so cool to see that it's
Yeah.
like exploding across the country, not just in our little LA
Yeah.
bubble.
Because it really goes to show like how thirsty like people are for that kind of content. Like
Yeah.
people like have been like we've been here for generations. You know what I mean? This is the first time that we're like it's something that's super prominent that like, we can kind of reference. Be like, oh, you know that show? That's like kind of like what our families are like, or you know, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's just good to have a vernacular of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, this must be their best Ramadan in life. Those guys.
Yeah,
Like, just
inshallah.
imagine like being like the talk of, inshallah. And like, just imagine just like seeing the billboard about yourself and then like everyone's celebrating and then it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, inshallah, there's more seasons.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Manifesting that.
yeah.
That show's got to be doing good.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
people, like we said, like the people who reached out to you, were they all brown?
Actually, I had a couple non-brown people.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting the same vibe where it's like, it's not just brown people watching it.
Yeah.
I think that's the Hulu Disney effect.
Mhm.
Is people like out, it kind of becomes a topic of conversation.
Mhm.
I know you haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it, but the thing is, like, I
yeah.
will say, like, as far as like Hulu goes, like, it's in their best interest that it does well too, because
Yeah.
I feel like
100%.
Disney and stuff, they've been really kind of pushing this whole like, oh, we want to be very inclusive. I mean, like the new Snow White's coming out, you know what I mean? And it's like people are upset about it, but I mean, you know, they're really making an effort to be like, okay, well, we're a very diverse platform.
Yeah.
Because hopefully they kind of saw what happened with Netflix, where it's like they have people who play Muslims, but they're like really weird Muslims, or they're like very
Yeah.
like you know, like white savior situations. But yeah, I mean, I feel like Hulu, it might just become a platform for us because, you know, aside from this, there's also the other show that's on there, the matchmaking show.
Yeah, Muslim
Yeah.
Matchmaker.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. They're on the same
That
platform.
was fun
Yeah.
to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good one. That was good. I don't. Is it good? I don't know.
I enjoyed it. I think it was fun.
Yeah.
I watched it like I'd watch like Love is Blind.
Yeah.
Like kind of same mentality of just like, you know, it's kind of a fun like background.
Yeah.
But like I thought it was wholesome. What I loved about it was they had a lot of diversity.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like it wasn't just
Yeah.
like Arab Muslims or Desi Muslims. Like they had like all different kinds of people.
Yeah.
And some were more practicing, some were less practicing. I really liked that. I think they did that very beautifully. And that's not something we see, like all these different types of Muslims all in one show.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It was like a part of me was like, I'm watching this. Am I just liking it because I'm brown and I could relate, and I'm Muslim and I could relate, or
And you're single.
you know?
I'm sorry.
I was trying to dance around these things. Shout out to our editor who's gonna handle that a little bit.
He's single, yay!
Okay. Anyways,
It's like dance around. It's like dancing into those DMs.
Yeah.
You know?
The editor is just gonna have to. We're gonna pay extra to get this one removed. Okay, we'll keep. But what was I even talking about? Muslim Matchmaker.
Yeah.
Okay. That it just, I feel like it related, like it's something that we hear about so much, and just to see like those things, and they had like the little things where they had like the definitions on the bottom.
Yeah.
Did you watch this? Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm really behind, guys.
This is not his fault. We just decided on the
that's why I'm like
today.
sitting quietly this whole time. It's like, oh yeah, no, that's I hear you. You know?
I'm sorry. We kind of like bullishly like picked the topic, and so you can talk about what you think about what you thought.
In the next episode, though, I'm gonna come back with a lot of opinions on bullshit. Just kidding.
Yeah. You should.
Yeah.
Just sit down and make notes.
We'll
be talking about the economy. He'll be talking about like Muslim matchmaking. He's always gonna be one episode behind. Theme. But
I mean, Nabil is always late.
I am. Yeah, that's for people who don't know. I'm always late to everything. That's kind of like my reputation. So
it's okay. That's just being Desi. It's
yeah, it is.
That's Desi representation.
Yeah.
Like,
it's part of the culture, guys. I mean,
late.
come on.
Yeah,
always late, but worth the wait.
You know, it's one of those things that we have too much representation on. One of the few things where we have too much representation on. Oversaturated in that market. Shout out to my on-time Desis. We care about you too. But yeah, Muslim, so they had the definition on the bottom. I thought that was so cool.
I liked that.
That's a good
Their definitions are so niche. Halal haram ratio, like istikhara they had, which is like a deep cut.
Yeah.
Which if you don't know, it's like a prayer to like give you guidance basically, and it's like a lot of Muslims don't even know about that. They had like dua, they had like desi, like all these like little things. And I was like, this is so cool, just as a teachable thing to people, just to understand our system. So it was fun to watch.
Like it didn't feel like this is not meant for us. You know what I mean? Because some things are definitely meant for like a white audience.
Right.
But they didn't do it in a way where it was like condescending or like overly. Like they just had the little pop-ups and it was like, I don't know. I think they did good with that.
Yeah. Because they kept talking through it too.
Yeah.
Like they didn't talk through a definition, but they kept talking, and they didn't like interrupt to be like, by the way, this is what this is.
Yeah.
They were just like, it's on the bottom, read it fast, we're gonna keep going.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So we actually went to go see the host of the show is also a comedian. So we went to go see her show for the Palestine fundraiser. Oh my goodness, she's great. She was so good. Yeah. She was calling out everybody in the audience, and she was the one who was actually like calling out people to like donate too. And I feel like that day she raised like her alone, she raised like $20,000 for like the whole thing. And it was just like a crowd of maybe like, I don't know, maybe like 200 people. Or whatever. But she was. I remember I saw like just even the promotions and stuff. I'm like, dude, this is gonna be a good show. Just knowing that she's the host.
Yeah.
You know, because she's. I'm sure like the other hosts there is probably maybe, I don't know what their dynamic is, but I would guess that she's more like the person who's like doing the work, and then the other one is just more like, you know, kind of lightening the mood a little bit and just kind of like.
I mean,
they're both doing the work.
It. Yeah.
Okay.
But she's kind of the humor, and then the other one is like more like the serious.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she is Yasmin. Oh man, I'm forgetting her name. Yasmin something. She is so funny. I've seen her like stand up a couple of times, and then I've seen her like crowd work at the fundraiser.
It was phenomenal.
She was killing it.
Yeah.
Like, and not for like 10 minutes. She was like killing it for like 30 minutes, 45, and no one wanted her to stop. Like she's a force.
Yeah.
And she was again, just to see, going back to like the press junket, just to see her at the press junket has been amazing.
Another one that I saw a lot was like The View, where she was on The View and stuff, and Joy Behar was like, oh hey, will you be my Valentine? She's like, oh my god, Joy, you want me to be your Valentine? Like,
That's crazy. That's so cool.
That is so cool. Yeah, those hosts kind of make the show. Would you say that?
100%. Yeah. That's also like why some of these shows maybe don't do as well. Like I feel like because there's no charisma and stuff like that. And there were things with Muslim Matchmaker too where like I think some of the editing was very cheesy. There were parts that felt a little forced, and I love like cheesy reality shows, but like I think there were parts that were like, okay, this feels fake or this doesn't feel genuine.
Yeah.
So, but I think overall it was worth the watch and I enjoyed it. So
Yeah. And hopefully it'll just get better because I mean, there's some shows that start in one place, but then they end up being like amazing and just like, you know, once they take off, they take off. The one that I watched a long time ago, which is not really Muslim related, but it was 90 Day Fiance. I remember when the first season came out, people were like, "This is such a dumb show. Like, who's gonna watch this?" And it's literally one of the like highest rated shows on TV. Like, you know what I mean? It's just you never know what's gonna do well. Or another one was like The Masked Singer, where it's like people were like, "This is such a dumb concept. You don't know who the winner is, and you don't know which celebrities there." But it's on probably like the 4th or 5th season now, and you know they get crazy numbers.
Yeah.
So it really just depends. I mean, hopefully, the more they do it, they'll probably get better at it.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I really hope they give them a second chance because I'm curious how the viewership was that for that, but I hope that they just give them a second chance to do it. And also, it's the hard thing with Muslims also is that there's things we just can't say. Like there's our community is so conservative that like even in that show they'll hint at things. They'll be like, oh, maybe this person drinks, maybe they don't, but they won't say it outright. And I think that's just us being a small community in this country and just being like, okay, we all kind of know each other. So that's it's a little tricky in that regard, but you know, there's because there's a level of like, you know, you got to keep it decent and people's families, and immigrant families and all that stuff. But for what it was, I enjoyed it. Yeah.
And there's such a need for something like this because I remember when like Indian Matchmaker came out, we were like, oh my God, this is like so good for us. Even honestly, Love is Blind. Like the fact that Love is Blind is such a, like, I feel like there's a lot of people who are like from our background who can relate to it a little bit better because it's like, okay, well, this is kind of like what the ritual process is like for a lot of people, you know, like, let's be honest, you know, like they're like, oh, I'm going to like have a couple conversations with this person and then like, maybe we'll get married. Maybe we might stay together. Maybe we might not. But it's like, everybody, like, I feel like every circle I'm in, aside from like, you know, like even the guys are watching Love is Blind, you know what I mean? Like something like, okay, this is
guys watch Love is Blind.
Yeah.
No, you literally watch
Love is Blind. Love is Blind.
I don't.
Who are you trying to impress?
So we're trying to be
I'm
genuine.
just kidding. I'm kidding. I love Love is Blind. Love is Blind. Okay, us talking about Muslim shows, Love is Blind is one of the like the first 3 or 4 episodes of Love is Blind is like the most halal television. It's like literally
it is, honestly.
2 people talking
behind a wall.
Yeah.
It's like too halal. And then until they meet and then you know things get a little spicy and then they go to Honduras and then it gets tricky. But like but before then it's like one of the most it's kind of how our process. But it's funny that show does so well. But it kind of has like the same vibe to our things because we all do like watch that show and we're like oh this is kind of what it is. And then it's like they have like a finite amount of time to make a decision.
Yeah,
which is like also very much our thing, you know. So that show is like it's not a Muslim show, but it just
it has Muslim vibes.
It has Muslim vibes.
Yeah. It's like it's hard to explain it, but
yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like the fact that now there's a show that is actually like that, but with Muslim people in it. You know what I mean? Even like the Indian Matchmaker, where it's like you know, Seema doesn't really work with Muslim people. I'm sure she works with a lot of people who are part of the other religions because they believe in a lot like horoscopes and you know all that stuff. But like dating as a Muslim or like even finding somebody as a Muslim is so specific, you know what I mean? And then like, and there's so many people that go through that experience. So it's good that there's something that, okay, you know what? There's like people who are being like, okay, this is how it works. This is how, you know, we've been doing it for so many years. And, you know, I think that's great.
Yeah. It's good to highlight it because, I've always felt that our dating process is kind of funny. Like it's so ridiculous. Like we care about the weirdest things.
It's kind of like backwards almost.
It's backwards. We care about like little things. And like we like, you know, it's not even uncommon. But it's our game is just so different. And so it's like someone could just to give you an idea, someone could be like, oh, this person is this wrong caste of Pakistani. And that's a deal breaker. And this is like this is not even being far-fetched. Like this is like a real thing. So our rules are
2025 guys.
It happens. Our rules are so they're just are weird like that. I feel like there's something there if they keep like chipping away at it. I think they'll get something out of it. But But yeah, shout out to Muslim Matchmaker. And then there was one more. What was the other show?
Mo.
Great show.
The finale
I
was
loved
phenomenal.
it.
That's the one show I did watch. Okay.
Good.
I watched it and it was like right before Ramadan. I was like, man, let me get this out of the way because it was on Netflix. And same thing, 20-minute episodes, you can like fly through it.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy how it like starts in one place and it ends up in a completely different place. And it's just so much like self-reflection. And I think they did a really good job of like not only talking about like Muslim experiences, but they kind of talked about the whole like immigrant experience as a whole.
Yeah.
The fact that he, I mean, I guess the spoiler is that, you know, after the first season, he kind of ends up in Mexico without papers and then he has to find his way back to America, but then he keeps getting stopped by like the border patrol and things like that. So I think it's a very like, he covers a lot of, you know, issues that I guess like just American immigrants kind of deal with. I think that's really cool. And the finale, I feel like there's clips of it everywhere where it's like, hey, you know, like Allah doesn't care what kind of like this you have or what kind of that you have. And that's like, I feel like that hit home for a lot of people because, you know, at the end of the day, that's what it was. Where it's like, yeah, all these things are happening. But at the end of the day, like, you know, as long as you're a good person, as long as you're trying your best, you know, gives you a little bit of hope.
Yeah. That show, I feel like that show did so much right. Like that show is just like, I hope people watch that like for the rest, like especially in a moment like this. I feel like that show is gonna, and that last episode was just gonna live for a long time.
Yeah.
That was like, man, that was crazy. They do Muslim really right in that one, where it's a thing, but he's like, it's foggy how Muslim he is, and he's like, there's other components of him. He's an Arab guy, he's Palestinian, he's an immigrant, he's an American, he's a Houstonian.
He's struggling financially.
He's a son also, like which is a big theme. Like all these things, like it feels like Muslim is not like the overarching one. It's just one of the things. And like we get very early on that there's like a nuance to his character. That show, like even the season before, it just doesn't stay still. That show, like you can't like, you just can't blink. Like he'll be somewhere else. And I've really liked him as an actor. Even when he was like in Rami, I thought he was like when he had scenes, he would just like steal the scene
for sure.
But that show is like really, really great. Yeah, that show is actually really great.
What I really liked about it too was like it was like there's a lot of serious topics too, but there was definitely like moments where it kind of like broke it a little bit, where it kind of gives the audience a little bit of a break. It's like, okay, you know what, like this happened, but here's like a joke that we're gonna throw in, you know. And there's moments where you see this guy who's like very like happy, looking from the outside in, he's like a very happy-go-lucky, easygoing guy, whatever. But there's moments where he really has these like crash outs, and he's like, oh man, like how am I gonna come out of the situation? And you know, and he has the thing that always gets me is those flashbacks that he has of when he was in Palestine. And he was like, or like memories he has of his dad and stuff like that. I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like, even though this guy's like on the surface, he looks like a Seth Rogen type character. You know, like a very like whatever, you know, happy-go-lucky, like don't take this guy seriously, whatever. But he, like the way he developed him in the show, like he has so much heart, and I'm like, man, that's actually really hard to do, especially with like a show that's like a comedy show, but also like, you know, a very niche, like, you know, Muslim show.
I just remember watching and being like, man, this guy cannot catch a break. Like
literally,
I swear, like every scene, like something happens to this poor dude, but you're like cheering for him the whole time. So it's like you want to keep watching and like enjoying it.
Yeah. And that show just had so much depth too. It just kind of like there's gonna be some spoilers. I don't think this is like a plot spoil, but like one of the first things is like he's, you know, like Nabil said, he's stranded in Mexico. That's like the starting off point. It's like, and what are you doing here in Mexico? Like, it's like there's so many ways to be like okay, he's just running around, he's trying to figure it out. But he opens like a business. He opens like a small business. And I was like, this is such great writing, where it's just like, it's like, that's like an immigrant thing. That's the mentality is how do we work for ourselves? No, if no one gives us a break, what can we do? And it's like literally just him having a cart. And I was like, wow, this is like really, it's really not like what you would expect. And I feel like shout out to also Rami as well, like just as a co-creator on the show. I feel like he's really good at just subverting what you think is going to happen and playing off of that to like bring more nuance. But yeah, that show is also interesting because not only are they talking about Palestine, but they're talking about immigration. And also there's all this political stuff about ICE happening at the same time, and it's like they're talking about this when it came out. So one of the crazy things for me, I was like, I'm watching this show. It like the timing could not have been more perfect.
Honestly,
and it's just I was like, wow, this is Netflix just really like coming in like on time, you know?
Yeah.
Because-
I think 2025 has just been an amazing year for TV so far.
Yeah.
We're only like 3 months in, but it's just been like, I feel like every 2 weeks there's like something new.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that we're really excited about. And I know Rami has a new show coming out too. So like
Yeah.
more Muslim shows, more stuff we can
That's
talk
true.
about. But yeah, it's really exciting times.
It is.
I've been seeing ads for they're doing the last season of Handmaid's Tale. Apparently, that's going to be another show that's going to be like really big. That they're like, oh my god, this is the last season. And again, because the political stuff is so crazy right now, I think everybody's going to be watching that too. It's just like
It's a little too real.
it is. Yeah, it's like that and Black Mirror. Like you got to watch those shows and like take them like you got to watch something funny like right after.
Yeah.
'Cause,
There's
like,
a new season of Black Mirror coming out too.
Is it really?
Yeah. I
Oh
just
my
saw a
God.
trailer for it.
We're not ready, man. We're living Black Mirror right now.
Yeah.
You know,
Like,
that's not even true. I didn't see the trailer for it. I saw there was a trailer, and then I was like, no, I'm not ready. I was literally that same thought. I was
Nobody's
like,
ready. I know, even though last season came out like probably like 2 years ago, it's like still too soon.
Yeah. Black Mirror was just like it feels like life.
Yeah, honestly, it's like
Well,
it's more of a documentary than like a show.
Oh my god. Yeah. I remember the last scene that came out, they had the Salma Hayek episode, which
Yeah.
like duplicated
Oh,
herself.
man, yeah.
And then like right after that came out, it was there, like AI took off in a big way.
Yeah.
Like and people were having this talent agencies were having the same thing. And it's just I was like that show got to the problem before like right before the problem happened. I was like, this is like too much. But yeah, there's a lot of good TV.
yeah, finally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They need to keep making stuff about the diaspora. Besides Muslim stuff, I know that was the theme of our thing.
Yeah.
What else are you guys watching that just feels like it's special right now?
Oh my god, Severance.
So,
Obvious answer. I'm obsessed with that show.
yeah. Someone's knocking on our door.
Someone's knocking on our door. Are we in trouble?
Check the. What's it worth to go over budget? Like, how much is going the budget over?
You can tell. You can tell. And there's like these amazing shots. And I think they say that, I don't know for sure, but they've said like there's no CGI.
Wow.
Really?
Like a lot of it is very much
I see some of the
practical.
promo stuff for it. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I didn't really know what it was about, but I was like, wow.
I think it's worth watching.
What's it on?
Apple TV.
Oh, okay.
I saw one episode and it was so slow. I saw the first one and I couldn't get into it. I was like there was it was just felt like a slow burn, and that's how a lot of like TV is. I feel like there's like a lot of setup, which is why TV is not my thing.
So you just have a short attention span.
I just
That's it.
like give me a fast start.
But I feel like old TV was so much slower.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I feel like shows these days are we have way less episodes.
Yeah.
And they make the most. They have 10 episodes that are an hour, and they've made the most of every single one.
The thing is, I also feel like because the production quality is so like high for TV right now, like every episode feels like you're watching a movie.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was like you can watch it, even if though it's an hour, it's like an hour of like storytelling. you know?
Yeah.
So-
I just like shows that like I always think of Breaking Bad as like the perfect pilot.
That was a slow burn too at the beginning.
No, it was not.
It took time to get into.
The first scene was him like in an RV and like just coming out in his underwear, just like looking out and being like, oh, like he's being chased.
Okay, true,
and
but
you're in it. That's like the.
But like
a
that was
really
like
good pilot.
That was like the one thing that happened, but then until like maybe the fourth episode, that's when it picks up again. But,
it
just kind of
took me time to get into
the one show that I kind of was like, okay, this show picked up right away for me was I was watching Dexter. Even though the finale sucked, like it picked up right away. You kind of got like all the characters and you kind of knew what was going on. Game of Thrones too was a little bit of a slow start, but once you get into it, it's like okay.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Game of Thrones, the characters are just so
There's so many characters,
that you want to like know them and be part of it. But yeah, that's it. Maybe I'll give Severance. That's high praise, I gotta say.
It's been really fun too because they release it every week.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, oh, this is so annoying. I just want to binge it.
Yeah.
But like it's been so fun, like reading fan theories and like kind of living in real time. Like we lost that. We kind of lost
That's
that
true.
like once a week release and like having this like anticipation, like huge like cliffhangers every time. Like it's been really exciting.
We had like the golden age of television, and then it just kind of like it just halted not abruptly, like, but slowly. But it's nice to know that there's a show like that people it's bringing it back and people care about it that much.
Who are the actors in it?
Adam Scott.
Adam Scott.
Oh, Adam Scott. Okay.
He's really good.
Yeah.
Ben Stiller's in it? Or no?
No, he's the director.
He's the director.
Or, like he wrote
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, see, I would think that was a like comedy show
Yeah.
too. Just based on like the cast.
Yeah.
Yeah. John Turturro. He's very
Oh,
good.
okay.
He's great.
He's
Yeah.
very good actor.
He's great. When they were the thing that caught my attention this time was them filming at Grand Central Station.
Yeah.
I was like, that is so cool.
Yeah.
That
Their
is so
promo
cool.
was that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. It's been really cool.
Like that's good marketing. Like that's just like you create an event. It's like real life, and it's just like a spectacle, and it builds curiosity.
Yeah.
I just that was so smart. But I gotta check it out. How many seasons are there?
2.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
Easy.
okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was 4.
No, just 2. Yeah. They had like 3 years between the first and the second
That's
season.
why. Okay.
3 years. And I was watching all in real time and I was like, oh my God. Like,
That's frustrating.
so it's finally back, which was
Well,
amazing.
you know,
Yeah.
on that, like the 3-year age or 3-year gap between the shows is, have you guys seen the Euphoria? They announced that they're releasing a new season
Oh,
in I think it's this year or like early next year or something. And even that, there was like a 3-year gap. And, like, there's a lot of like allegations and stuff. There's lots of happening
Big
behind
drama,
the scenes. And like a bunch of people like left the show and stuff too. So it's gonna be really, and like there's characters that like actually died in real life.
Oh wow.
Angus Cloud,
Yeah,
that guy?
Angus Cloud. Yeah. So it's like it's gonna be really interesting to see how they do, like how they pick it up again and start all over. So many people became famous for that show too.
Mhm,
You know,
mhm.
yeah.
like Sydney Sweeney is like everywhere.
Zendaya,
Yeah.
Sydney
Zendaya.
Sweeney.
Well, Zendaya's like been famous.
Sanya's
Yeah.
Disney OG.
The tall, handsome guy.
Oh yeah. The
Every actor ever.
No, tall. He's tall.
he's like really tall. Yeah, he's like the main guy.
I'm so bad with actors.
He has like a football
He's
player
he's
face.
Australian, I think. Yeah,
He's Australian.
Wait, the
think
one
so.
who's like actually 30, but like they
He was in Saltburn.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I forgot
yeah, I forgot his
he's
name.
he's in Euphoria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That show is just so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, whose high school was like this?
I know. But
I'm in high school, like doing like honors classes, like, hey, I hope I don't miss my homework assignment. Like, like, these guys are out here like doing crack and like I don't even know.
Yeah.
I have like heard from people like it's either that or like whose high school experience was this, or is like finally a real look at high school. I'm like, what? Oh my God. So a good amount of people have told me they're like, that's there's a version of that. I'm like,
Oh my
that's
God.
nuts.
Where and why?
Yeah. I was not.
That's not. Wow.
Yeah.
You guys are also just like very wholesome people, so it's fine. Like,
Was this your high school experience?
I haven't seen Euphoria. I didn't get into it, so I don't really know what you're talking about. But
Oh my God,
I mean,
Euphoria was,
partying
like,
and
It's such an addicting show.
partying
It's, like,
and drugs and drinking. I mean, that did happen.
pretty
all the
much.
time.
Yeah.
I like.
But it's like intense drug use, and it's like
Yeah.
intense, like it's a lot of like psychological manipulations of like each other's characters, and everyone like represents something different. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just the amount of trauma. It just felt so adult.
yeah,
Night.
yeah.
But I feel like it is like the show of the culture, like the show of the
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
It's like what those big shows were.
But I don't know. I
back
feel like
then.
will it be now because it's been 3 years since the last season came out. I feel like when the last season happened, it was like a huge deal, and everybody was like euphoria everywhere.
Yeah.
I feel like the hype has kind of died down a little bit, and there's been so many like controversies around also like surrounding the show.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting to see like what kind of viewership they're gonna get now.
Yeah.
Also have a lot lower tolerance for like haram stuff. You know? when
Wow,
you
Okay.
watch TV.
mashallah.
Okay, you know what? I get that
Brother
too.
Rasimi.
Sometimes it's just like cursing, okay. But it's like when the clothes start coming, I'm like, just keep the clothes on. Talk normally. But like I don't need to see all that.
I
Like,
think if it's like necessary to the plot. Oh my God.
Oh.
okay.
Way too much passion. No, I think if it's like plot,
Was this your high school experience? I feel like this is triggering something in you.
the pushing things
Yeah,
over, right?
yeah. Oh my God.
No, I haven't I can't say that for sure, but public high school in like middle America.
Yeah, maybe.
The
Yeah.
weird things
Yeah.
are going on. People
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
like
My-
smoke weed and then come to class.
My thing was that it was just so interesting to see how much these adults are involved in these like high school kids' lives. Like I'm like, man, like you guys are adults and you're treating these other kids like adults too, and it's like, man,
Yeah.
it's just like I don't know, it just seems like a lot because even the adults are like flawed, but then the kids are also flawed. It's like a whole thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's hopefully, I mean, sometime this year it'll probably come out.
All right, maybe I'll watch it.
I mean,
It's 3 seasons.
I'm like thinking about the other cat. Hunter Schafer is becoming really big.
Yeah.
Who's the guy with the tattoos? He's like a really big musician now. What's his name? Oh my God. He's like, I'm drawing a blank on his name. He's actually a really good Damien Fike, something like that. That guy's really big. He's a really good musician too. So that's like shout out to the show for just finding really good talent and everything. And okay, so is that your show?
That's the show that I'm looking forward to.
That's
Yeah.
the show you're looking. Okay, what's mine? Let's see. There's honestly, I feel like it's gonna be a slow year. I feel like there isn't
What?
the
I
summer.
just said the opposite.
Like in terms of the year coming forward,
I guess.
again, I'm a film person. I feel like there aren't any crazy movies
Well,
coming
what's a
out.
movie you're looking forward to then?
That's what that's what I'm trying to think. I don't think that there is anything. I don't. The new Avatar is coming out this year, right? Is that
No.
the end of this year
Maybe
or
next
no?
year.
I thought that was next year, yeah.
Oh, next year.
I think
so. That's not even
yeah.
this year. There's the Thunderbolt movie, which is like the Avenger. They're trying to market that. That'll be interesting, but I can't think of anything like I'm super excited about. Film wise, I'm trying. Like I'm honestly, I'm trying to think.
I feel like also what's going to happen now is this is just a guess of mine, where they're going to like try to launch a bunch of new things all at once because there's so many shows that are ending. There's like even you mentioned Marvel. I feel like Marvel hype has like died down. You know what I mean? So there's going to be a lot of new stuff that comes out. It's going to be interesting to see what's on like the new wave.
Yeah.
I feel like we talked about all the like Deli Boys and stuff like that. I feel like that's going to be like kind of similar to kind of the stuff that comes out now, where it's like, okay, yeah, it's all mixed, but it's gonna be funny, it's gonna be suspenseful, it's gonna be like all over the place. So,
Yeah.
Because there was like that one year where it was like that office humor was really fun. Like every show had that office humor. I feel like that's kind of like dying out, and it's more like stuff like Deli Boys, where it's like, oh my god, it's crazy, but it's also a little funny.
Yeah.
The absurd humor is definitely like having a moment. Back like, when The Office was popular, those Seth Rogen movies were popular, where they would do like those broy things, and it would just be like very like comfortable, like awkward humor, and that was so great.
A lot like
honestly,
sarcasm.
I miss that, but it's nice to have. I think there's so much talented like comedic directors now that now like those guys like when Bottoms came out a couple years ago, I was like, that's such a great movie, and it just doesn't take itself. So I don't know what I'm looking forward to, but I'll get back to you on that.
So sad.
Yeah, I like Love Is Blind. That's the thing I'm most excited about. This season was so.
This was your people.
I know it was my people, but like, oh my god!
I didn't even bother watching it. Last season was really good. I didn't like this season.
This season, you should watch it and then go on TikTok.
Oh, okay.
That's all the teas on TikTok.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right? What'd you say?
Yeah, but like that's every season. I feel.
Yeah.
No, this season though, because I think the town is so small and people know each other, so like people I feel like are ingrained in each like everyone's life. So
yeah.
But anyways, maybe that's fine. Okay, I want we got to wrap it up. I want to pose this last question. So our topic today was like Muslim representation in Hollywood. What's something that you guys would like to see a version of? It could be like a broad idea, it could be a specific idea, but what's something that you would vibe with that you feel like is missing in the Muslim diaspora in Hollywood?
Oh wow, that's very loaded. I'll have to think about this for a minute.
Okay, a reality TV show the idea I pitched for school one time was something where you follow brides planning their weddings, like Desi brides planning their weddings.
Oh, it'd be like that show Super Sweet 16. It's like that, but with brides.
Exactly, that was one of the things I compared it to. I compared it to there's like a show like Weddings Under 10K or something where they like show that, or like Say Yes to the Dress. Like there's all these wedding adjacent shows, and I'm like, why don't we show a Desi version of that? Because I spent a year planning my wedding, and it was like honestly the most stressful time ever.
Literally, everybody gets married says the exact same thing, and I'm like, man, like it's crazy. It's a lot.
Yeah. And like every year, I see a different friend kind of going through it, and like there's just so many little things that come up, like so much drama.
Yeah,
it's insane. I feel like you could really take that and run with it, like just all the things that can go wrong, like planning events, coordinating two sides, like. I think it would be tough because obviously people might not want to be so honest.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it could have some like excitement.
We have 3 events at least minimum.
Yeah,
right?
minimum.
Which is like interesting. It's who you invite to those 3 events. People get offended, and then not only that, but our parents have a big say in the guest list. And like, how big was your wedding?
Like 300 people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
average,
on the smaller side. Even, like 4 or 5 is not uncommon.
Yeah.
We went to a wedding with like 800 people once, and we're like, what the?
Yeah, and I would picture this show as something that would show the really grand ones, like the really insane ones. Like I've been to weddings where they had like acrobats, or they had like live performers, they had like crazy, just outrageous stuff. I think that'd be a cool like reality show, because like why? Why do you want to do all that? Like I think that's fascinating.
Yeah. I have not been to those kind of weddings. I'm trying to think of the fanciest wedding. They're all at the Knott's Berry Farm Hotel.
People from Southern California know. Yeah. Especially Muslim Desis from Southern California. You guys know.
Yeah. That's
Knott's Berry Farm. Oh, man.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I went to a wedding in Pakistan.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That was
a wedding.
Yeah.
A lot.
That was one of the best weddings I went to. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah.
That's like a village. That's crazy.
And the reason I
So
know this is
wild.
I was asked to be one of the greeters.
Mm.
The person that shakes hand, I shook hands with the one.
Did you have sanitizer?
Yeah, did you get sick after? Oh my god.
That was a great wedding. It was so like imagine having American money and then spending it in Pakistan. It's 300 rupees to $1. And so it was so lavish, like elegant place.
Yeah.
Food was some of the best food I've ever had in my entire life. Yeah, your dollar goes so far over there, but that's a really good one.
And then instead of 3 events, because I stayed there for like at least 2 months, every day was something.
Yeah.
Oh my
Mhm.
god.
Yeah, that happens.
The
At least for-
dolkies and the like mayo, like everything.
Yeah.
There's
Oh
so
my god. Yeah. That's a good idea.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
guys.
Else.
So on my side, as far as like just entertainment stuff goes, I feel like it's I mean, TV and film is one thing. I feel like just there's been so much like growth in the music space. I feel like there's so many new artists that are coming out that are actually getting like a mainstream following. We're talking about people like we're talking the other day about like Nemesis and stuff and how she's been talking about Palestine, Saint Laurent, like all these people who are just kind of blowing up. I feel like there needs to be more. I mean, I feel like there are a couple of Desi people there, but it's like there needs to be more like brown people who are kind of like making music for American audiences, you know, because they definitely have the talent there. They have all the ways to do it. And I feel like a lot of the American stuff does kind of, you know, take influence from that stuff anyways.
Yeah.
And, you know, instead of them appropriating our stuff, I feel like we should step in there and be like, okay, you know what? We can also make good music. And this is actually like tied to our roots, you know?
Yeah.
So I think film and TV is one thing. I think this year it's going to be a lot of focus on, you know, music and like that kind of space. And just having social media and stuff, I think it's gonna be easier for us to see like more music artists versus like actors and stuff.
That's a good point. We got Nemesis, you mentioned.
Yeah.
Saint Laurent, who's like incredible.
That
Whose
guy's a
stuff I've been
beast. I
listening
listen to him like every day.
He's so good.
Yeah.
He has this album called From Gaza with Love, and it was before all this stuff happened, and
Mhm.
it's just like 7 songs, really good.
Yeah.
Yuna, who's been
Yeah.
around for a minute.
Well, she's a jobby, which is
Yeah.
like crazy.
Yeah.
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 Mustafa the Poet, shout out to him too. He's really great. His stuff is like folk music.
Yeah.
There are so many great artists that like have their own kind of touch to it.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And it's like they're finding like fun ways to bring in diaspora, and I think TikTok makes things the culture a lot like more accessible. So it's like you could listen to like I started listening to Punjabi music. I cannot speak Punjabi. I can't understand Punjabi.
Sweatshirt, guys.
Shout out to Brown Monday. But and shout out to Ali also for translating for me.
Oh my god.
So that helps. But yeah, I feel like like cultural music is just it's gonna have a great
Yeah.
moment. And it deserves one. For my pick, okay, so hear me out. This is
Oh god.
gonna get us canceled. Okay.
Oh.
So I think there so we both grew up like Nabil said, like in the Masjid community.
Mhm.
In the early after like post 9/11, hear me out.
Yeah.
It's okay. There was this thing at Masjids where you'd have like the same people, you know, we'd go for like many times during the day.
Mhm.
And every once in a while, like there would be like a convert who would come through and he would just be like tatted up or he'd be like really buffed and be like, oh, me brother David.
Oh God, yes.
And like, and everyone knew what this was. No one had two like thoughts about what it was.
Yeah.
That guy was a spy for sure. Like
Yeah.
100%.
Like a Fed.
a Fed.
Yeah.
And he would always like just talk. He would just always linger around the masjid and just like be like, "Oh, what are you kids up to? What do you we do anything? Oh, why is this guy so interested in the youth?"
It's like you guys are always talking about Pokemon. What's going on? Don't you want to talk about something exciting?
Yeah, exactly.
like-
What about let's live a little bit? And he would
Yeah.
like and they would it would always be a different guy. And this is like more than one. This
Yeah.
is like this happened constantly.
Yeah.
And there's some real sad stories about it too. The people did like, there's people of kids being cornered.
Like, yeah.
There's love stories that like were filled with deceit. Al Jazeera covered one in Irvine back in the day.
Mhm.
But then there's also really funny ones. Like Hassan Minhaj covered this a bit, where it's just like dad, like his dad wanted him to like meet brother David, and it's like, okay, dad, that's like a spy, and of course he was trying to like corner them.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this is such a funny moment that now we could laugh about because
Yeah.
it's been long enough that we're just like that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I think that would be such a funny comedy.
That'd be really good. So whose point of view would it be from? From
Yeah.
like the guy who's a spy?
I think it would be from the point of view of like children, maybe like teenagers.
Oh, okay.
Who like, teenagers is a funny topic because like they just want to live their life.
Yeah.
They want to hang out with their friends.
Yeah.
They want to like figure out girls if
Yeah.
they're guys, and then they want to like play sports and hang out with their friends. It's like
Yeah.
very like
Yeah.
basic.
It's a very
needs.
small world. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what's this thing of like if like being Muslim connects these guys, and then like this guy is just like being Muslim connects you. This is how you really become Muslim. And I'm like, I just like randomly thought about this. I'm like, yeah, it would be nice to have like an edgy Muslim comedy.
That would be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess along that, I know the other thing that a lot of masjids have is like they have that tablighi jamaat, which I know I'm sure the girls don't have to deal with this, but they have that thing of like they have these groups of people that go from like masjid to masjid, and they're like, oh brothers, like please come to the masjid to pray. I'm like, dude, I was gonna go anyways. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They come like door to door and be like, come
They're
to
like the
masjid.
Muslim missionaries.
Yeah, pretty much. And they have this thing where they all kind of like, if you're there, they're like, oh, come sit with us. We're like reading this book or whatever. And it's like, okay, like, no. I want to go home and eat dinner, like, you know. But yeah, I think it's really interesting because I mean that was such a big part of our like thing of growing up where we would go to the masjid like 3 times a day. Like it was just like part of your routine, you know. And at that point in time, like that was like our whole life, you know.
Yeah.
We're like going there, hanging out with our friends, just coming home. And yeah, it's so funny that you mentioned that because I literally have the person like in my head. Like I literally know what this guy looks like.
Yeah.
You know, I know exactly who this guy was too. And it's like, yeah.
No, I saw this comedian and he was talking about this where he's like, there was this guy, he came to our masjid, he was always like hanging out with the young boys and we all were kind of sus of him. And then he was like, we figured out that he wasn't a fed, thank God. He was actually just a pedophile.
Oh, okay. Okay. That makes things so much better.
What?
Yeah.
A comedian?
Yeah, I think it was a joke. I don't think
Hopefully.
Oh my
I'm pretty
God.
sure it was a joke. He
Oh my
he was
God.
kidding. It was a comedian. So yeah.
Yeah,
That was the
Wow,
punchline.
that's hilarious.
that's really
Weird,
funny.
but it's kind of funny.
Good joke. That is funny though. You know what also made me think of this is Shane Gillis had this thing of he had this like comedy bit of like he's like, oh, you know, I see like Al Qaeda and stuff like that, and whenever like how they celebrate versus how Americans celebrate when they shoot somebody. Americans, they shoot somebody, they're like, okay, we got them. Taliban, whenever they shoot somebody and then they get them, they're like, woo, yeah, we did it. He's like, I honestly, I think I'd celebrate more like the Taliban. And I'm like, this is so interesting just from like our lens.
Yeah.
These jokes were so off limits before. Before, it was like, you can't say certain things on the phone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's just a hilarious time that like, I think our parents are like still, I was saying something about Trump the other day to my mom on the phone. She's like, no, beta, we love Trump. We love Trump. It's like, we don't. And she's like, beta, are you watching the news? I'm like, it's not good. We're citizens. It's fine. But like, there's still like that leftover thing.
That's weird.
And it's so funny. It's the sad part I think is like, has like subsided. Now we can look at it through a lens and I just think it'd be so funny to explore that.
Yeah.
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 Also be a good way to like break like that whole thing of like, oh my God, Muslims are all just all making serious content. It's like whatever. It's like, dude, we're like people just like everybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are all great ideas. Hopefully they make more Muslim shows, Muslim television.
Yeah.
There's an audience beyond just us from our experiences because our experiences are so unique in this country. So hopefully they keep doing that. But yeah, that's it for us.
Cool.
Thank you guys for joining us. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And we'll see you next time.
All right. Take care.
Bye guys.
Bye. Hey everybody, welcome back. Hopefully you guys are liking what you're seeing and hopefully you're enjoying your journey with us here. We want to go ahead and remind you guys to like and subscribe to our channel, help us grow so we can keep making videos for you guys. We love doing this and we really don't have much else going on. So yeah, please like and subscribe, make us famous.
Please.